Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an absolute slobber knuckle of a night. Sweat dripping, blood pumping, an absolutely electrifying evening. This is Friday Fight Night. My name is the Bibliotech Nerd, and today we are not quite reviewing comic books and graphic novels. Instead, we are going to pit two mighty superheroes against one another. These, of course, being the mighty Shazam and the powerful Captain Marvel. Since just recently both have received their own movies, I thought it would be a great idea to pit these two superheroes against one another. Now, this is the first time I've done this type of video, so there might be a few mistakes here and there. But the plan is to start off with two short summaries regarding their powers, to kind of get a taste of what these superheroes are like. This will then, of course, move on to a few small scenarios regarding how I think certain things could possibly happen during fights. Now, I won't be able to go through every variable, but I will highlight the ones that I think that stand out the most. This will then reveal to us who is the winner. But let's not waste any more time, and let's get ready to rumble. Starting off with the mighty Shazam. His powers come from the beings who make up his name. Starting with the letter S. The wisdom of Solomon. Possessing an excellent mental acuity and near infallible wisdom, the wisdom of Solomon provides him with counsel and advice in times of need. H is for the strength of Hercules. It has been compared to that of Superman's, while during the golden age of comics it was so unlimited that he could move stars and planets. A is for the stamina of Atlas, or using a more recent version, the stamina of Apollo. As a superhero, you've gotta take a punch, and Shazam can do so without getting tired. Now Z is for the power of Zeus. From being able to create magic thunderbolts to resisting magic spells, the power of Zeus definitely makes it an electrifying experience. The second A is the courage of Achilles. Facing down the vast forces of evil, one requires to be fearless. And lastly, M is for the speed of Mercury. There's definitely no excuse for running late when you have the speed of a god. In short, Shazam has a wide range of powers and abilities at his disposal in the fight for justice and good. If you are interested, my previous video is a review of the trials of Shazam. While Billy Batson must take on the role of the Wizard of Shazam, his friend Freddy must take on the mantle of Captain Marvel. But for now, let's move on to the opposite side of the ring and look at Captain Marvel. From the superhuman strength, endurance and stamina, all the way to the manipulation and control of stellar energies. Her abilities to both absorb and unleash such powerful energies make Captain Marvel a formidable opponent. Her vast human and Kree military experience and training, combined with her limited precognitive seventh sense, allows Captain Marvel to outperform and outmatch many of her opponents. On top of all this, she also has a special form known as binary. What would be categorized as an Omega level power in the Marvel Universe, Captain Marvel would be able to take on the full powers of a white hole, absorbing and unleashing devastating amounts of energy attacks. Few, if none, could survive the coming onslaught. The world stage is poised. The crowds are thundering with excitement. The clash of titans is about to begin. So with the snapshot of our two heroes done, I'm going to give a quick word on how I'm going to approach this. Both heroes have a long history with different interpretations arising depending on who was writing them at that time. So there's always going to be problems regarding which versions you pit against one another. And there may be scenarios which simply never cross my mind. As such, I'm going to use generalized versions of both superheroes and highlight some of the more prominent scenarios, with the victor being the hero that I think will most likely win the largest amount of scenarios. So let's get right into it, starting off with the basics, strength and speed. Currently in the Marvel Universe, Captain Marvel is being positioned as Earth's mightiest hero and the strongest Avenger. We see some impressive feats of strength and speed both in the comics and in the recent movie, but when coming up against Shazam, this may not be enough. DC Comics definitely has a few overpowered superheroes, with the strength of Hercules either being compared to Superman or even going to the very extreme being able to move stars, and with the speed of the god Mercury that is able to even outrun the Flash. There are a number of scenarios where these two things simply win the battle for Shazam. It is pretty hard to contend when so much speed and power can go behind a punch that a mini black hole forms between his fist and the target that he is aiming for. So unfortunately for Captain Marvel, the scales definitely weigh against her and are not in her favour. But hope is not all lost. Shazam seems to have a weakness that now and again is being exploited within the comic books. Though some fans may say it's not a constant thing or it doesn't quite make sense in regards to his powers, to keep things spicy, I'm going to allow it. The weakness that I'm referring to is of course when certain energy blasts, especially electricity, that are powerful enough hit Shazam. Now and again seem to have the effect where they turn Shazam back into Billy Batson. If the attack is powerful enough, it seems to act like a sucker punch. So I'm gonna have it that there's a potential in certain scenarios where Captain Marvel uses an energy blast, maybe electricity, to hit Shazam, resulting in him being turned back into Billy Batson. Of course, I'm also going to take into consideration that it is a bit of an inconsistency when it comes to the fact that Shazam also controls electricity. So it is not guaranteed that Captain Marvel's energy attacks will be able to elicit a sucker punch effect on Shazam all the time. It will need to be of a considerate amount of power for this to happen. Now, moving on to the next scenario that I wish to bring up, which is of course Captain Marvel's binary form. It is difficult to understand and truly ascertain, even scientifically understand what it means to have the power of a white hole. I suppose you could say that this falls under the category of how the theoretical actually translate into the practical. But because I want to be fair and allow for every possibility, and I also think it's kind of a cool concept, the whole transforming into binary. It gives me that vibe of it being like a Super Saiyan mode. I'm going to give it the leeway and say that when Captain Marvel transforms into the binary form, there are certain scenarios where the power unleashed has the potential of not only harming Shazam but also winning the fight for Captain Marvel. I definitely think that it would be a spectacular scene to watch when Captain Marvel turns into binary and then the two just clash like titans. Now, moving on to the next scenario that I kind of want to bring up is of course the use of magic. I wasn't quite expecting this when I was reading up on the superhero's powers, in the fact that Captain Marvel seems to be weak when it comes to magic attacks. This was a bit unexpected, but it does seem like the writers of Captain Marvel have put her against the mystical world, and it doesn't seem that she fared that well against it. The reason that I'm bringing this up specifically is that initially I had the idea in my head that the power of Shazam being able to bring forth lightning would be used against him, as Captain Marvel will be able to absorb that lightning and then use it against him. But it seems that my initial idea would be overturned when I did further delving and studying into the two superheroes. It seems that the lightning that Shazam is able to call down are actually magical based. In other words, Shazam is able to transform attacks that Captain Marvel may have been able to defend against, all of them into magical attacks. This severely turns the tide against Captain Marvel during their fights. Now, you may be wondering what the conclusion of this fight is. Now, in the very end, I believe that Shazam is the overall winner between him and Captain Marvel, with one factor that I haven't quite yet mentioned that puts it over the edge for Shazam and makes him the winner. This being the power of Zeus. When looking at how Shazam receives these abilities, it is said that they are infused with each of the gods, heroes, and demigods' power. This leaves open the door and the possibility that it is not only a simple or single trait of a power but the entirety of it, which could mean that he receives all of Zeus's abilities up to and including the ability to create life itself and entire worlds for it to inhabit. We are, after all, talking about the god of all gods in the Greek pantheon. Now, I do believe that Shazam would be able to defeat Captain Marvel without including this variable. But because I wanted to include every possibility, I thought it would be good to show how Shazam is able to be leagues ahead of Captain Marvel. Now, I understand there might be people who may not be happy about the outcome, but I thought this would be a fun video to do considering that both have a new movie out and it's kind of a hype at the moment. This video is definitely an experiment for me as I've never done a fight night type of video. I'm sure that I may have missed some things that I should have included. So I will definitely appreciate any feedback or any comments that I could use to improve my videos, and potentially down the road if I do another fight night, I could make it even bigger and better than this video. I definitely would like to do more fight nights, but with heroes that aren't generally used and not the kind of mainstream ones all the time. I would definitely like to include, as my friend suggested, some unusual matches that you normally don't see between heroes. But for now, on Monday I plan to go and see Shazam the movie, so hopefully I'll have a review by the day's end. And then on Wednesday I should have a review of the comic graphic novel that was released for the movie. I believe that it was simply called Shazam Origins. So do stay tuned for that, but for now, don't forget to like, subscribe, give me your opinions on the whole thing down below, and I shall see you in the next video.